Hey guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, and wanted to do a replacement of my earlier video because the damn audio didn't work. So this is going to be very brief setup, guys. It's mainly for the guys in the room, but if you want to learn, it's 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, but I'm going to do it because I've been so frustrated by my ability or inability to record something. So here we go. So number one, let's get this disclaimer out of the way. So if you'll take a minute to read it, basically it says past performance is not indicative of future results. You can lose your ass trading futures. FYI, don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This is for educational purposes only. I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it makes you a better trader. However, my trading system or methodology is not for everyone. Okay, so what I wanted to get to is how do we figure out where the turns are, right? That's what I was trying to show in the video. So if you look, we start the day with marking off important levels from the volume profile chart. That creates a chart that looks like this. Okay, so this was today's levels, right? And you can see, so I'm going to mark them off really quick. I did in the earlier video. So easy to tell. The green lines are prior day's highs and lows. So this is going back today's Tuesday. So this is Monday's high and low. So Monday's high, low. The solid purple lines are value area high and low. The dashed blue lines are the prior day's points of control for both the TPO and volume point of control. So you can tell that tends to make a really good target in. It tends to make a horrible place to establish a trade. And this is actually a really good explanation why. See, sometimes it'll come right to the point of control and it'll bounce. Sometimes it'll get to the point of control and it'll trade, bounce, trade through it, reverse, go lower. It's just hard to have it as a secure area. So I prefer, if I'm going to trade in here, it's always the scalp. And I prefer to trade away from the point of control to move back to the point of control is always the idea. And then this white line, the white zones and the yellow zones are key points of inflections if we can get to them, where I expect big returns. However, those don't leave me with all the areas I need to scalp from, right? So again, I'm going to try to keep this brief because I want to go to bed. So that being said, so we come off of this chart. And while we're day trading, we are looking for areas to get a response from, right? So I'm going to use tonight as an example. This evening, let me blow up this chart, and let's erase all lines. This evening, after we got the news, see when the market rolled down? So this market rolled down, then it pushed it. It's still pushed up off the bottom here, right? So the areas below that I would have originally wanted to test would have been really this down here. These sellers really got quote-unquote left behind. They sold and the market lifted. We came with another area where they pushed down. Again, you see a lot of selling. This is a PNF chart. I'm not going to go into the details of how I derive my charts because I spent many years developing them. And while I'm happy to share them, I don't give away the formulas behind getting these charts. So, but what you can tell is this is basically telling me there's just a ton of sell pressure coming in at the bottom. So, see this right here where we come from this low here. Oops, let's see if I can use the arrow better than that. We come from this low down here, here, and then we come and this. See how this bar closes up right here? So see how we've moved away from the selling? So what I want to come back in, just like we moved away from the selling here, and I want to mark this area where they left these sellers down here behind, I want to mark them again. Okay, I did the same thing during the RTH level, right? So now what I want is for this to get revisited, and two things occur. First of all, the location alone tells me that I should get a response, right? But then we go from this location, and we come over here. Now, this is a 1.5 range bar, and the purple and pink bars and the arrows are all various algos that are firing as we're trading, right? So to make it easy to see where this picked up and where the lines came from, I'm going to draw I'm going to come in over here and put a vertical line here so that we can see what's going on to the left, where that got developed, right? So when you come back over here, so you see where the bar, this is where this closed. This is where this time frame where we pushed away, right? So what I want to do is I want to come back in. I want to come back in and really I'm going to say this bar closed over here is what we were looking for. And then I want it to come back and push back into that area where there was sellers, right? Just like here where we pushed away, we left sellers behind. I wanted to come back in. So remember, location alone, this area is that same second area that I drew on the chart, on the P&F chart, right? So you can already notice just from looking at this that we got a response every time we got in there. However, that doesn't always work. And I'm going to give you a demonstration where it failed. So if you'll look up here earlier this evening, I would have said, prior to that big down move where we were accompanied by the news from the president rejecting the current stimulus deal as insufficient, right? I would have said this, 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 and certainly this. I would have said all of that qualifies as a potential rotation area, right? So markets move one of two ways. They either move purely based on technicals up and down, or they get new information to the market, i.e. president not accepting the current stimulus package, and the market drops very quickly, right? So what we find in day trading is when we're trading this stuff is, well, what does that look like? What does that look like when things fall, right? So you'll see the news really came out right about in this area, somewhere right in this area. I think it was right around 1900. So it had to be right in this area where the news came out and broke, right? So we're looking for a couple things when that occurs. If you'll look, first thing I want is I want it to actually touch a zone. So hold on one sec. I want to see this. So you'll see the first time back into this zone, right? Because we had to push away in order to get that zone. So I'm going to trace this for you so you can see it. We pushed out, it created the level, we came back to test it, we found some responsive buyers, and it gave a small rotation, right? We then came into the level right below. See how they were all stacked up underneath? And effectively this level failed. Again, it's Asia, so I don't trade Asia for the most part. And then again, you'll see that we came to this next level here. That failed, and then we got news, and that failed. So you're like, well, wait a minute. That's not very good, Simon, right? All of those levels failed. But the issue behind that is if you look in general, that was just a slow bleed out of consolidation, and then we finally broke consolidation on news, right? So but the first thing that we're trying to solve is how do we fix or how do we look for where the potential returns are and how do we control P&L? And I'm tired, so you'll forgive me if I don't do this exactly perfectly. So what I am looking for is variations on a perfect setup, right? So for me, for example, this would be a perfect setup where I get I either get the fractal. I want this pink bar. This pink bar tells me that offers have been lifted in that particular bar, and I want that bar to either be a hammer, so it would look like this, right? I either want that pink bar to be a hammer, or I want the pink bar to look like this, where it's coming off a fractal. So it pushed off. The second bar is pink. Even though this one retraced, that often indicates that we're about to get a big move. So I want three things: location, I want one of those pink bars, I either want that pink bar to be a hammer or a hammer and a fractal in a combination, and the lifts often look just like this when we're getting them, and they provide big P&L, right? So you'll see once we started moving, and then the last element I'd like is speed. So what I'm looking for, so see how we got a hammer here, you can see it, the hammer's just simple candlestick hammer, the next bar's pink. That's a big signal for me just to go long right there and in the rim, right, guys? So for those who are watching the video, you're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? For those of you who are in the room, you know what I'm talking about, right? So then it's levels of aggression. So you can take this pink bar. If you do and you hope that the rest of it sets up, that's a 1.5 point stop, right? Here, this is a little bit larger stop, but if you'll notice, we didn't actually get to location. This is location. I wanted to actually tag location. You'll see when it tagged location, it created the hammer bar, but it never created the pink bar above. So it's very minute detail. Like we're really digging in and going underneath the microscope to see what the P&L, what the setup looks like that we're looking for, right? So this was valid right here. I probably would have, well, no, I take it back. I would not have taken that without location. But had this come in just a tick or two lower, that would have been a valid long at that area, right? But what you'll see is it just doesn't set up as it's breaking through these levels. Now, come back to this evening. We have this news and there's speed and there's actual interaction between the various participants, right? So when we're getting interaction between the various participants, guys, see how we come in and we get this first lift here, and then we get the exact same set of bars right here, and you can see the almost immediate lift. And then here it comes back one more time. You see that you get that pink hammer bar, and you'll notice it actually physically touches the stopped out sellers that we're looking for. You can see the wick is actually inside this block of former sellers that have been sitting there, and that is precisely what I'm looking for on a single pink block. I want it to touch location. I want it to hammer out of there. The only thing this could have done better was form a fractal. Okay, so that's a great example of here in Asia what I was looking for to push out. Now I'm going to go give an example in the US session of what I would be looking for, and then also, guys, how do we figure out where the extension is going to come from for the larger trades, right? So, and the answer to that is, here, so I can show you from earlier today because we got it. So let me go back to the other chart. Because remember, on the profile chart, we just really didn't have location. It was an inside day all day today. So I'm going to erase lines. So now I'm going to come back in here to 8:30 this morning. Okay. So I'm going to put a purple line so everyone can see where 8:30 was. This is pretty much the open right here. And so if this is the open, right, remember I want a rotation away to find where my trade needs to be, right? So if you look, the first place I would have looked at 8:30, so I generally don't trade between 8:30 and 9 o'clock because nasty things can happen at that period. Nonetheless, I want to show what the setup looks like, right? There's two areas that got left behind here. If I'm going to mark this chart off, it's going to look like this. This area, this area, this area. And then closer in, see how this closed away? So I'm going to mark this off. And so I'm going to look at that first rotation right over there at 8:43 a.m., right? So the first thing I can see is that we pushed a little bit beyond it, right? So let's see what that translates to. So that we can see that, we're going to put a second purple line. The first one's the open. We're going to do it like this. Okay. So if we go look at this chart, and this takes a little bit of patience because we got to get back there. There we are. Okay. So again, I'm looking for the push down into this location in real time, right? So I want it to push away. And remember, those two charts don't form coherently with one another necessarily, so it's a little bit tough when you're looking back. But what you can see is when we came back here, right, when we came back to this area, this is 8:30, and really it looks like it was that 8:43 area we were looking. So you can see it pushed away, and then it came back to test. So see here how it came back in, locate. So I'm really going to say that it wasn't this location at all. It was this area right over here to begin with, right? So you can see we came into this area. See how we hammered up and that formed a fractal? I would have looked for it to push away out of this area. All right. Again, that can be a little bit tough initially because of the time span, but we knew this area was this 840, 844 area. This area was pretty good just for taking out of this location. What would have made this perfect is if there had been a pink bar right over here, right? Remember those areas a little bit lower? And I got a feeling I'm goofing this because I'm tired, but watch. We're going to leave those areas alone. We know they haven't been tested. So see when we're coming in, see how you have two ways of testing it? See how when it first comes in, it just lifts almost immediately out of that area at 1030. Now you'll see the next area that it comes into. See how it lifts? You get that pink bar or you get the first hammer. You're looking for a reason to get a rotation out of these areas. See how you almost get an immediate lift? This one pushes in a little bit deeper, but it holds the back and then it gives the lift up. And by the way, this combo, right? So when you get the pink bar that turns into a fractal right there, so you need two bars to make this algo signal show up. But when you get it, right, so the pink bar shows up right away, there's no lag. But when you get the combo of these two, you know you have the potential for the big turn. And I know I'm tired, so I'm going to wrap it up. But what's really important and what I was trying to communicate in the room is that the key is what you're looking for, guys. Let me clear this out really quick. I know what this is coming from. Got it. What we're really looking for when we are in the room, right? So see how this bar, I'm gonna put a square on it. See how this one bar, it has that little blue dot underneath? That tells me that that bar was divergent, and then the second bar formed a fractal, right? So we know from the room that if we close behind that bar, particularly after 9 a.m., that you have very good chances of lifting up and or down. If it's the other way, right? We have a good chance of it highlighting where the market will break away from. So even if you didn't get the long over here, right? Had you seen this divergent fractal form, the shooting star divergent fractal right here, and then see how you get that first pink bar right there? Generally, guys, if you line this up on the algo, or you get this bar, then you get your first pink bar afterwards, you will see a lift out of it almost every time immediately. And I'm going to go back randomly and show you someplace where, so you can see exactly what I was talking about. So, okay, so see how this bar over here, so you can see how we're traveling to the downside, right? Travel, 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 travel down. Now what we don't have here, first of all, it's Asia, so let's forget about Asia for a second because it's trickier than regular US sessions. So let's see where we went down. Okay, so this is a good example right here. Hold work. Let's get rid of it. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so again, without the advantage of location, or being able to look on the chart and see where we are on location, which is very key. So we're just kind of randomly pulling this out, right? But you can see where we get the divergent fractal right there. First pink bar. And remember, we're day traders, right? That's a good trade right there, right? When you are looking over here, no. This was pretty far away to use this bar. So you want some kind of sequence, but usually what you're getting is a combination. So what you want, I apologize, let me clarify one more time. What you want is the lack of a new swing low when you get that trade. So see how you get the divergent fractal and then it breaks the swing. So what you want is a continuity of getting higher highs and higher lows when you get that. So if you look over here to the left, let me go back to the other chart for a second. Let us do this and see what, there we go. there. Now it should be a clean chart. Nope. I do not know where those lines are coming from, but that's fine. So if you look when I push out over here, see how I get this divergent fractal right up here, right? And then see how as we're coming down, we don't break the swing. So if you'll look there, right, once I see that divergent fractal, the idea isn't not to get any losses. The idea is to get good RR in your wins that offset your losses. So if you look, I'm looking at this bar right here, right? We've come off. As people in the room know, we've gotten above our stopped out buyers, stopped out sellers down here. We've gotten above the last wave down. There's a lot of positive stuff. You get your divergent fractal. So if you take your first pink bar, right? Remember, this stop is 1.5 points. You definitely get your 1-to-1 RR to get your risk off, right? We come down again, right? You still know this is the location where you're going to have to push away from. Now you get your hammer with your pink bar, right? Both those bars probably become your stop. You can see once again, you get your RR. Now they're going to push down again. We're trying to find this in the V, right? It's where we want this. So at the bottom of the push down, you see we get the pink bar again. You get your 1-to-1 RR. And in the meantime, you've got to keep an eye, because you know if we close, certainly the second time behind this bar, but that's where the lift is going to come from. So again, all of this is good, right? We were taking all these longs on all this area was setting up long on Monday morning, right? But if you look, once we close underneath here, watch the pattern. So see how we're going to close above, and what you're looking for, here, I'll show you. Not yet, they're trying. It's a coming. There we go. Okay. What you're going to see, okay, see that bar right there? So see how this is where that last divergent fractal was, back over here, guys. So see how we clearly closed above and comes back, and then it sets up that pink bar coming right off of that divergent fractal. So basically, in the algo, this bar tells you that we've cleared this and they're about to lift. And that's where you just get that massive direct move. So the whole point behind it, and I apologize because I'm tired and I wanted to get the video out. Hopefully the audio is working on this. So these pink bars give me an awful lot of information about where the potential turns are. The P&F chart and the profile charts tell me about location, right? And what I'm trying to do is narrow down where my edge is. So I want to take these pink bars where I have location, right? And then I also want to look for the counter. And what I can see is, what all these things are telling me is where buyers and sellers are lining up and where they're lifting and where they're failing to lift. And where sellers have stepped in and where buyers have stepped in. But on a really, it's kind of like zooming down a microscope, so I can see very precisely where those buys and sells are. So anyways, I'm tired. I didn't do a great job. If you'd like to visit us in the room, my name is Simon. The email is TRADENPERFORM, TRADEN, like in Nancy, perform@gmail.com. And hopefully this video worked, and I'll try to do a better job. It's been my goal to get more videos out to help people with their trading and hopefully improve their trading. And we will be at it for a little while, bright and early. Tomorrow will be a short day for me. So anyways, hope everyone had a great day today, and get some good sleep, and we'll go at it in the morning. Thanks, guys.